Hello, Allie.
Hello, Melissa. We're back. It's been a minute,
Yeah.
but life's been busy. Anyways, this is Liverpool, USA, a best friends podcast because we're best friends.
Yeah.
And today we're going to talk about parties because as we are recording, it is Sunday night after Halloween weekend, and we have both thrown parties, and we have a lot to catch up on.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was thinking of I wanted to ask some questions revolving around the concept of parties as well, especially in both of our experience with the concept of
Yeah,
parties. Do you want to start with talking about our parties this weekend, or do you want to start by talking about just parties in general?
let's talk about our parties this
Okay.
weekend, and then we can circle back to parties at large.
Yeah. Okay.
So you hosted a murder mystery party, is that right?
Yeah, yeah. So a while ago, sometime last month or maybe even earlier, um
Mm-hmm.
I coordinated with my fiance and Nicole and Arjuna to figure out um what weekend in October we were doing the pumpkin patch, because we do corn maze pumpkin patch, we do that every year. And so we're like, okay, what weekend? And usually I feel like the past couple years we've gone the weekend before Halloween, but for whatever reason, I was like, what if we did something different, like some kind of party or get together or something the weekend before Halloween and do the pumpkin patch the weekend before that? So we blocked off the dates for that, but without any solid plans. And then as it was getting a little bit closer, like the end of September ish, Nicole actually brought up, what if you used your murder mystery party thing? Because I got this a box with everything to do a murder mystery
Yeah.
party. It's Mardi Gras themed, from Justin's sister for Christmas, I think is what it was, like last year or the year before. And I'm like, I don't know, I've never done anything like that before. I am um very nervous in social situations. I don't usually do a lot. Like, spoiler alert, when we talk about parties later, I don't really do that. I don't really do a lot of
Yeah.
party stuff. If anything, I'm a very small gathering person, or
Mm-hmm.
one-on-one friend person. So
Mm-hmm.
um yeah, so I was a little bit nervous, but I was like, you know what? Yeah, I do want to do that. Um so actually, thank you to Nicole for putting it out there so that I could say yes to it.
Yeah.
And then so we met up. Justin actually reconnected with a person who he was really close friends with in high school, and
Mm.
he knows both her and her now boyfriend. Um, and so they reconnected, and I joined along, and we talked with them. And at the end of the night, when we went out to meet them, I kind of brought up, like, hey, what if we invited you to this? And then we were like, okay, cool. So we invited them. And then we invited the people that Kelsey and
Yeah.
Langston and Avery and Jamie. And
Nice.
which I don't believe you've ever met Jamie, but Avery's
I
partner,
don't think
Jamie.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Newly engaged. Uh
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. And so the game requires 8 people. And so, but you might notice, if you are good at counting, that there are 10 people total that are involved, that we invited, including us and
Mm-hmm.
Nicole and Arjuna. And so, because we were like, certainly not everybody can come, and we even made a list of people. We were like, who do we want to invite? And we're like, okay, well, we'll invite these couples, and then certainly not all of them can come, and then we'll go from there. And then turns out everybody said, yeah, we can come. So,
Okay.
and no one canceled. So we had 10 people for this 8 people game. So what happened was Justin decided to play the victim.
Okay.
And then there was one character in the game that whose name is Melissa. And so I was like, well, I should just take that one, obviously. And it was really
Mm-hmm.
funny because she ended up being the wife of the victim.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah. So it just like kind of worked out that way. Um, and so Justin was the victim so that he didn't take like a character spot, and we can like let other people have that. And then Kelsey ended up being the one that they had a couple extra like characters that had names that you can with like dress up character descriptions that you could give people, but they didn't have these booklets that the game came with to follow along. So Kelsey and Justin ended up being the people that didn't have like playable characters essentially, but you could
yeah.
still like play along. I think it's kind of nice that the game includes that, and it
Yeah.
was really nice in our case too. But this is the biggest, uh, by far, like social gathering that Justin and I solely have hosted.
Oh,
Um
wow.
so yeah, I mean, we don't have parties, and you know this. Like
Yeah.
I mean, we'll talk about what we think defines a party later, but party in terms of like a big group of people comes over to your house, I
Mm-hmm.
don't believe I've ever done anything like this before. Um
Oh, wow. Well,
and yeah, so pretty big deal for us. And so we're like, okay, we served dinner. We had what I say is the three most fun sounding foods from the South.
okay.
We Justin made all the food. I can't really take credit for any of it. He made gumbo,
Okay.
vegetarian, vegetarian jambalaya,
Okay.
and for dessert he made beignets.
Mm-hmm.
And he also made funeral sandwiches, which I guess are like a southern thing that he knew about, but I had never heard of them before. And
Mm-hmm.
and it was all very good. And we were kind of learning. Speaking of like him being the one that did the cooking, is we were kind of through this. It was like a big learning process of us figuring out like, okay, uh if we are hosting a party like this, who's going to do what, like what roles are we going to fulfill as a couple to make sure that this works,
Mm-hmm.
and we're not stepping on each other's toes, but we're also working together. And he loves cooking, so he ended up doing the cooking. I ended up doing the decorating. I rearranged our entire living room. I think I sent you a video, a little Snapchat when I
Mm-hmm.
was rearranging. The whole couch, the like three-piece sectional was all apart. We took like most of the things out of the living room and put them in the center of our bedroom.
Oh my
So
gosh.
like our
Yeah.
bedroom was like incredible looking. But yeah, so we had like the table that like the printer and stuff is usually on completely cleared off. My art desk completely cleared off for the food stuff. I took out all of our Halloween decorations and tried to use as many as possible. Um, I bought the only things that we bought were like cheap like masquerade masks, Mardi Gras beads, and a tablecloth. And I'm really excited about the tablecloth. I want to use it for markets later too. But
Yeah.
so I like bought those things and decorated, and I was also the one that did like the a lot of the like leading of the game. So explaining the rules,
Mm-hmm.
explaining how it worked. When we sent out
Mm-hmm.
invitations, we gave people their character assignments on the invitation, and the invitations say, "This is your character's name, and this is how you should dress." Um,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't say anything else. And
Yeah.
you get this pamphlet. Have you ever played a murder mystery game before?
Yeah. I've hosted a murder
Oh, you
mystery
have
as
hosted?
well.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
okay, okay. I've never done this, as I've said
Mm-hmm.
before. And so everybody got, I don't know how identical they all are too, but yeah, so everybody got, like, I handed out all their pamphlets and we all did it, like, followed
Mm-hmm.
the rules and everything. Um, and Justin, the one thing that I thought was really funny, that I thought of, and I'm happy that we did it because it was like super cute, is when people came to the door, Justin, being the victim, went and, like, how when you walk in our door there's steps going up and steps going down. when someone would knock on the door, he ran over, and the steps going up, he like laid down on them.
That's
Like
great.
just like a limp body, and then I stood behind the door and opened it so people would like walk in and like see him laying there, and everyone's reactions were so good. They're like, oh no, he's dead. Like people walking in and like the pause of like figuring out what's happening.
Yeah.
So that was pretty fun. That was pretty creative. But yeah, and then everybody went downstairs, and it's so good for me to hear like everybody complimenting the decorations, and and like how nice everything looks, and yeah, so that was good for me. But so Justin, he got all the food finished, and then we served food and people ate, and then we started the game, and then close to the end he went back upstairs and did the beignets and then served those it was actually right before the reveal. So there's like one last page that you wait to turn to until the end, and I was like, okay, everybody like just discuss while dessert's being finished, and then we like ate a little bit, and then we were like, okay, now we're gonna do the reveal, and I thought that was done really well. But I guess without going like too much into all the details and everything, it went really well. It was super
Good.
fun. I'm very happy about it. Justin and I learned a lot, and we worked really well together. The only time we ever got like a little bit like not necessarily like maybe like stressed out was after the very end when we were cleaning up, and I think it was just because we were both very tired and very like emotionally exhausted, but it was nothing bad. We didn't like have a big fight or anything. I think we were both just kind of like we were tired.
Yeah.
I really liked that two of the couples in the like right after we were done were just very politely we're like, bye, see ya, left, like we're done now, and I'm like, I respect that. Thank you for being just like getting up and going, and so everyone like left at a good time, and we cleaned up a little bit. Stuff is still kind of disorganized. I'm still like putting our living room back together, but yeah. So but it went really well, and I'm really proud of us, and I would love to do it again, and we're very excited to have our own house so we can do stuff like that hopefully more often in our new house. But yeah, that's kind of I'm sure we'll trade details as they come up as well later, but that's kind of like the summary of my first like big, I think, that you can call a party that I've hosted, and was just yesterday, Saturday night.
Wow.
So yeah, so tell me more about your party that you hosted this weekend.
Yeah, so on Friday night we just hosted a classic Halloween house party. Where basically there wasn't like a theme or anything besides just it's Halloween, so so everybody came in costumes. Yeah, I was telling you before that it was like about 20-ish people, I think, maybe a bit more. And it actually coincided with so we live on like the top floor of like a 3-story house, and like each floor of the house is its own unit. I know you know this already, but and so there's like a basement and then a middle and then the top, and we live on the top, and we used to live in the basement. And the two like groups of people that moved in to the middle and the basement in September when we moved to the top are college students, like very clearly college students. And so on Thursday night we had a note like taped to our door, like our front door, and it was like, hey, we're hosting like a Halloween party on like Friday night. If it's like too noisy, like let us know or whatever.
Oh, that's nice.
And like
we didn't do that, but ours wasn't noisy or anything. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, no, these are I'm like talking like 21-year-old like college, like like probably. So anyway, so we were like, okay, they think we're so old, LOL. That they're like, they like the tone of the note was, please don't call the cops on us.
Oh yeah.
And so we were like, they think we're so old, like we're literally also throwing a party that night. Like, little do they know. And so we were like, wow, it's really gonna be like poppin' because all three floors are throwing a party
Oh
that night.
yeah.
And so we were like, okay. So the night comes, we have all of our friends upstairs, and it's like a pretty like poppin' party. I've got music going, like we have our whole house like decorated for Halloween. Everybody's in costumes. We think we're throwing like kind of a rager.
Mhm.
But the bottom two floors took that up like five more notches.
Oh no.
They were going crazy. And so they had said in their note, like, hey, like, come stop by if you want to like say hi. Um, and so we went down to say hi because we hadn't like we kind of met them in passing like twice, like both.
Mm.
There's like three girls in the like middle and then three girls in the bottom.
Oh
So we were
wow.
like, oh, okay, like we'll go say hi. We like get in there. There's like probably like 60 people crammed into like
Oh my
each
gosh.
floor. They all wore coordinating, like most of the people were wearing like coordinating Shrek costumes, which is kind
Oh,
of iconic.
that's hilarious.
It was like every character from Shrek was like
Yeah.
represented.
Yeah.
And so we were like saying hi. They gave us Jello shots.
Oh no.
Um, we were like, okay. We went. So the super sweet girls, they were like, oh my gosh, you used to live in the basement, right? And we were like, yeah. And she was like, can I come? Can you like? Do you want to come see it? Because like we, they've
Oh
obviously like
yeah.
decorated and stuff. And so we
Uh-huh.
were like, okay, yeah. So we go down there. There's a full stripper pole in our old living
Oh
room,
my gosh.
which killed me. I was like, oh, we never thought to put a stripper pole.
Yeah, that's good exercise.
So it was very funny. So they have like a stripper
Yeah.
pole. They like wanted to show us all their rooms. Super sweet girls. Um, but it's a rager. I mean, there's
That is
like
so funny.
Jello shots. There's like
Yeah.
hands of everything you could imagine. Um, so there were so many college students. So our party seemed very tame, even though it was kind of a rager also, but not in comparison to our neighbors.
Uh-huh.
Um, but yeah, we basically we played one kind of mini game, which was we got this pumpkin that was in our kitchen, and we got a bunch of butter knives and put everybody's name like on a butter knife, and then you
Oh.
had to stick the knife in the pumpkin without anybody seeing you.
Oh.
Basically, like if anybody saw you, you had to take your knife out, and you were trying to get your knife in without anybody seeing you. And there were like enough people that you could do that, like people would be
Interesting.
kind of like distracted or whatever,
Yeah.
unless like it was like literally just like watching the pumpkin the whole time. So that was kind of our only like activity. Otherwise, it was just like people were chatting and everybody was like, doing costume stuff and just kind of like, yeah, hanging out. Listening, I had my Halloween playlist on full blast. Um, that's pretty much like the play by play. There was a lot of drinking at my party. Um, so that was like the other activity, I guess. And we did do jello shots with the neighbors, and some girl who was trying to go to one of the like bottom two parties like came into our house by mistake because the door, like, it's kind of hard to tell like which door
Oh,
goes to.
sure. Uh-huh.
So she just like opened our door because like I mean we were like playing music and stuff too. So she like
Mm-hmm.
just came into our house and then she was
Yeah.
like, I don't know anybody.
We actually had a at the very, very end, like literally right before people left,
Hmm.
some guy dressed as Jesus ran up to our
Oh,
door and Justin like went to walk up to the door, like out like goes to walk out of our room as he walks into our house. And
oh,
he's like, "Is this I don't remember someone's party?" And Justin's like, "Oh no, sorry man, it's not." And he's like, "Oh, sorry," and leaves. So I'm like, "Lock the door, please." Like it was fine. He wasn't like, he was just a guy at the wrong house, so it was like
yeah,
not a big deal, but it was like, "Oh, that's so we also had someone who thought we were
yeah,
a different house, just literally just walk into our house."
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. This girl, she came into our house and then came up and she was like, "Oh, I'm in the wrong house," and we were
Aw.
like, "Oh yeah, like you probably like both the downstairs people are also throwing parties, so it's like probably one of those." And she was like, "Oh, okay." And then somebody just was like, "Do you want to stay for a while or something?" Like I don't remember how it like happened,
Yeah.
but basically they were like, "You're welcome to like hang out here if you want."
Oh my gosh, that's so
like that.
funny.
And she
Yeah.
was like, "I actually love meeting people. Like, I'd love to like meet you all or something like that." And then she just came and stood in our kitchen
Oh my god, that's
for 8 minutes.
hilarious. That's
And then
hilarious.
her friends like came up and they were like, "Is she here?" And we were like, "Yeah, we're back."
That's so cute.
So yeah, it was very fun.
Yeah.
My I was Mr. Clean for Halloween. Let me just say it.
I I'm speechless. I don't know how to respond to that. And I think
It
that
was iconic.
what truly makes me speechless is not that you were Mr. Clean, but that you and Abe were partnered Mr. Clean Scrub Daddy.
Yeah, a dynamic
Like,
duo.
that is what really does it for me.
We came up with that idea last Halloween.
Oh,
We were
wow.
like, we
You
should be
might
that.
have mentioned Mr. Clean before, but I
Yeah.
don't remember. Yeah, so yeah, that's really, yeah.
We came up with it last Halloween, and we swore to each other that we would not tell a single soul. We were like, "Don't spoil this. Like, it has to be a surprise."
Yeah, that's genius.
Yeah. So that was very fun. Yeah, our party was super fun. People left very late. So we did not have the same experience where everybody just like left at a normal time. But that was to be expected.
Yeah. Our party was kind of like there was an activity, like a specific activity. Yeah. So it was kind of like people could hang out, but it wasn't like expected or anything for people to stay longer or whatever. And Nicole and Arjuna actually, they contributed hurricanes. So they literally went to like a thrift store and found one of those like shaker things for mixed drinks. And Nicole never made a mixed drink before, but she made non-alcoholic and alcoholic hurricanes. And so there was just a little bit of drinking. There was like a few people that had a hurricane, and Kelsey brought champagne. There was a few people that had some champagne, but it was nothing, like I wasn't gonna like stop anybody from drinking. I didn't really care that much. But it wasn't, I guess it just like kind of wasn't like that kind of party or whatever. So it was pretty chill.
No, that makes sense.
Which was nice. Yeah. And so so that was like kind of how, like that aspect of that like was how that went. Justin made homemade sweet tea and homemade lemonade. Like he literally bought lemons from the store and made lemonade.
Nice.
He went so extra and he did amazing at everything was so good. It was Nicole and I were dying because the gumbo and the jambalaya were spicy to us. But I could tell that no one else was like having as hard of a time as we were, so we just kind of didn't say anything.
Oh my goodness.
But he put jalapenos in it, so it was a little bit spicy.
That's an ingredient in that.
I know. We like bought spices just for this. So we bought some kind of like Creole spice like at the store and like so it was very good. It was just, I'm just sensitive to the spicy. But yeah. So
well, do you think you will host more like themed parties like this in the future?
I think I will. It was so fun and I would love to do it again. Especially at our new house and especially Halloween. Like I love Halloween and I would love to host specifically Halloween parties and I love dressing up, all that stuff. We didn't do like Halloween characters obviously. We dressed up as like our, and I love that everyone dressed up. I really appreciated that because I was pretty extra. So I was like everybody else better be extra because my character was described as she was this, like the victim was like an older rich man and I was his younger new wife from Las Vegas who was described as I believe that they used the words tacky, trampy, and flashy. And I could have been way more tacky.
Yeah, that's
which
like just not you at
no,
all. So
I
that's very
know.
funny.
I know. It was like kind of hard for me to do. I'm like, how do I do this? So I'm like opening up the drawer of frilly things, trying,
Hmm.
like what is in here that I could like wear in front of people. Um, and I put
Yeah,
together. I kind of sent you a picture, but I
you
put
did.
together
Yeah,
a pretty. I thought it was a pretty impressive outfit. I felt very extra, but like not too uncomfortable, especially because everybody else was dressed up, So it was, yeah, it was super fun.
very nice.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was really fun. I would love to do it more. I know that you host parties fairly regularly. You can, yeah,
Yes.
your little themed parties, which is super cute, and I like understand it now. And we've been wanting to try it for a while, so
Hmm.
yeah. But I was wondering, I kind of wanted to like go back and forth with some party related discussion, and so maybe we could start with like what do we think qualifies a party? Because growing up, that could mean different things, and different
Hmm.
stages of life and different whatever you're doing. Because I remember growing up, you had birthday parties. You invited your friends over and you
Hmm.
had cake and you had presents. Those are parties. And then, like, I remember getting into high school and um, learning about, and I never knew when they were happening and I was never invited to them. And I don't even think for a while I realized that it was actually a thing that people did not in movies. When high schoolers would go to like someone's house and have, parties that had alcohol and a whole bunch of people and a lot of like stuff that teenagers shouldn't be doing, like those kind of parties, which I feel
Hmm.
like, at least when I think about, like when I think of the word party, I feel like the first thing I think of is like a house with a lot of people and a lot of music and and alcohol and dancing and like all sorts of stuff
Hmm.
happening, which is what you see in the movies, but also like that stuff kind of happens in real life too, like that kind of college party
Hmm.
thing. Um
Yeah.
but there's lots of different things that qualify as parties. So like when you think of party, what do you think of immediately? Like what do you think qualifies a party?
It has to be more than like a couple of people, I think,
Yeah.
is kind of the only qualifier I have.
Mhm.
Um, usually like the smaller side of parties that we will throw are like 6 people,
Mm.
which I feel like is enough to be a party, but not like, too many people, I guess.
Mhm.
Um, we definitely, because we have like dinner parties a lot. Um,
Yeah.
and so that's kind of like a different thing too, because like you have to feed everybody that you invite.
Mhm.
So like, um, yeah, so we've thrown a bunch of like dinner parties. We've thrown bigger parties where we, like the one we just threw, where there's like a lot of people and you don't really like feed them dinner or anything. You just tell people to bring stuff and they do. Um, and yeah, I don't know. So I think as long as the intent is that it's a party, I think anything can be a party. We've
Yeah.
had like very kind of quiet, I guess, parties where it's like, there it's not rowdy. It's not like a lot of people or like loud music or anything like that. But I would still count it as a party. But I've also had parties where it's like insane. So, I think it's kind of whatever you want. I think if you say like this is a party, that kind of like evokes a mindset that it's like not just like casual hanging out, I guess.
Mhm. Yeah. Do you like what do you think, because like the party that I just hosted with Justin, it was for like a specific thing. There was a specific uh activity happening, you
Mhm.
know. And it was a dinner party, so we served people dinner. Um and uh so like when you have a party, and this is something from someone that I kind of want to talk about too, like our relationship with parties, like growing up.
Mhm.
But as a person who hasn't really been to a lot of like different kinds of parties and definitely has not hosted a lot of different kinds of parties, um like do you think that there needs to be some kind of activity or specific event. Like usually parties revolve around something like that, like an event or there's activities happening, or like when you invite, you just like say it's a party and then people come and you just like talk to each other and drink all night. Like what is, like does there need to be something happening?
I mean, so I think that's why Abe and I started doing specifically themed parties, because
Mm-hmm.
we were like, wow, we really want to have parties more often, but like there's not like a reason to have a party necessarily.
Yeah.
Because it's like, we had just like a Halloween party, and the event was Halloween, and you
Mm-hmm.
can do that with like a couple of other holidays. Like we had a Valentine's Day party like a couple of years ago. We didn't host it. One of the
Mm.
other friends did, but like it was just like a house party, but Valentine's Day. I don't know, um, and like the food and drink was like lightly Valentine's Day themed, and we like wore pink, and that was like basically it. But I don't know. Yeah, there's like not a lot of holidays besides like Halloween, like maybe like St. Patrick's Day, maybe, where it's like that's the theme. The theme is the holiday.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
guess Christmas also, but like I don't know. Yeah, so we were just kind of like, wow, we want to like throw parties more and like have people over more. But we don't want to just be like it's a party and like there's nothing to do.
Uh-huh.
Like
Yeah.
that's kind
Yeah.
of boring. So we started specifically doing themed parties. Um just kind of like all the time, and like we specifically made the choice to not invite everybody that we know to every single one. That way it's like always kind of fresh, and it's always kind of like not too much to handle, I guess, like it's not such a big crowd that we can only do it once a year or something, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, they're like smaller get-togethers, but they're still parties and there's still a theme, and we like try to go really like all out and extra with our themed parties. You've attended one of my
Yeah.
themed parties.
Yes. Yes.
Um
Yeah, cuz
and
I
I think that I went
sorry.
all out.
Yes. Yes, you really did, and I really really appreciate it. That was another thing that I was going to ask is like do you said that you don't invite the same people every time, but like when I think about it, this is maybe going to sound bad and probably not as true as I like to think it is, but I feel like I don't have that many friends. And so I feel like I couldn't like I don't have like a list to like cycle through to invite like different people over all the time, or like people that I can, stay connected with or talk to or whatever. So like how how do you choose the people to invite to the parties that you invite, and how do you balance like not inviting the same people every time, and are there people that you do invite like every time or almost every time, like how do you are like how close are you with these people, or are there people who are your friends with who are like those are people that I invite to my parties, but other than that there's nothing else, like what's the relationship there?
Yeah, so I would say the only person that's come to like literally every single one of my themed parties is my friend Nicole, who lives
Mm.
here,
Mhm.
who's like she's probably my best friend that lives in Bellingham.
Mhm.
Um and everybody else besides her I met through Abe. So
Mm.
Abe is like a huge social butterfly. I am not. I like
Mhm.
love my friends that I have, but I'm much like you. Like I wouldn't say that I'm like close. Like if I'm friends with somebody, I'm close friends with them,
Yeah.
and like I don't have room to have that many like close friends in
Mhm.
my life. And a lot of my close friends don't live here. Like obviously I have you, and I have people that live in Medford, and like I don't know. Yeah, I have people that I'm like close with that don't live here.
Yeah.
That can't come to any of my parties. So yeah, my friend Nicole, she gets like invited to pretty much everything because she's like my best friend here. But otherwise, it's very much like we will invite people that we're very close with, and we will also invite people that we are like kind of just acquaintances with. Because it's kind of nice to have that type of mix. And so yeah, like one of our parties that we had, we invited it was like 7 people, I think. So it wasn't like huge or anything, but like it was a huge mix of people. Like some of them were like our very close friends, and then some of them were like not that we were like not close with them, I guess, but you know, they were not like our close friends that we hang out with all the time. They were like kind of people that we sort of know, and we were like, oh, like you should come to this because we specifically try to choose people that based on the theme of the party we know will like have a good time.
Okay, yeah.
And then it's like, oh, we're like hosting this party, and it's like, I don't know, like the one I'm thinking of right now, we did this like we called it like wine tasting, but
Mm.
basically like the premise was everybody brought like a weird bottle of wine, and then we all tasted like everybody's like weird bottles of wine and like played a game where we it was like Cards Against Humanity where you like write like tasting notes or whatever, and then like the person who brought it like was the judge. It was very fun.
Yeah.
Um, but we brought somebody that we knew would like have a good time with that, you know, even though we don't like hang out with him all the time. And so yeah, we just try to like sort of and by doing that, we like kind of do get closer to a lot of people. And it's kind of a nice like way to hang out with new people without having to like just spend direct like one-on-one time with somebody that you don't know that well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I've invited like friends from work that I'm like, oh, I don't know, maybe they'll have fun, maybe they won't, but like, you know, this is kind of a good way to see if like we'll actually get along like outside of work or like that kind of thing. But yeah, I don't know. Most of it is people that Abe knows that we just kind of like curate to fit the vibe.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
What do you think? Sorry, I'm just like jumping to the next thing. I don't
go
want to
for
like
it.
ignore your answer because it was a good answer, but
Go for it.
um, I just like keep kind of like thinking of more things to ask about. But like what? Because I'll share my experience too. Oh, I guess like I could talk about like the people that. Well, I was kind of. Anyway, I'm just like having a thought process out loud now. But yeah, when we
Okay.
were thinking of people to invite, we literally made a list. And
Mhm.
cuz we're like who are the friends that we share, who are the friends in the area, who are the friends that we think will actually come. Um and for me specifically, I've talked about this with you before, but like with my wedding coming up in still quite a while, after getting engaged and starting to think about who I'm going to invite to my wedding, I kind of am still in a little bit in the middle of what I would maybe dramatically call a crisis about who my friends are. Because I'm like,
Mhm.
who do I invite to my wedding? You know, like who, you know, so
Yeah.
trying to figure that out. And so recently, and also being in this adult life of, not being in school and having to, figure out how to keep in touch with people. And then with the pandemic and with me being antisocial, trying to figure out, uh, like what who are my friends and who considers me their friend and all that kind of thing. And so that also went into like when we were thinking about it, we were like, okay, maybe specifically also for me, who do I want to make sure I'm reaching out to
Yeah.
include and be like, yes, I want to invite you to this thing. And maybe a little bit of the implication is like I consider you my friend and I hope that you like accept that. And
Yeah.
so that's like went a little bit into it, and I feel like probably everyone that we invited, we would invite to our next party and then like also
Mhm.
more. And I'm hoping I actually would love to have an even bigger gathering. And this one was just capped at 8 because it had to be because, or
Right.
10 really
Right.
because it had to be.
Mhm.
But yeah, so that was kind of, I guess, a little bit of like as a person who hasn't had a lot of parties to like cycle through a list with that kind of like is interesting to hear as someone who hasn't really had the experience of hosting multiple parties yet. But I was wondering about your experience growing up with parties, like
Mhm.
your like what parties you um had or went to as a kid, and then in high school did you do parties and what kind of parties, and then college, and then now, like what is your
Yeah.
relationship growing up with parties?
So when I was a kid, my mom went very all out for birthday parties. I had a birthday party every year when I was a kid, and it was like usually a very like themed event. They weren't always like huge. Like I know a lot of them I had like 3 people or 4 people come to. Like they weren't big parties, but like the commitment level to like the theme or the bit or like the making the party like be a very memorable party, that was always at like a 10 out of 10. My mom was always like, okay, what's the theme? Themed food is a must. Like whatever kind of decorations or whatever, that was always like we have to do it. And she made a lot of the stuff. And my dad would always like make the food and stuff. And like I said, sometimes it would be for like literally like 3 friends and me, but it would be like a full themed evening. Which I think is where I kind of got like a lot of the love for
Yeah.
doing that type of thing
I
and
was gonna
hosting that
say
type of
that
thing.
makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, some of my like very memorable parties were I hosted a murder mystery party for my 16th birthday, I think, and it was like a
Oh.
train
Yeah.
um
I know the train
one.
thing is a big, yeah.
Yeah, and so that was very fun. This is like I don't know, I just feel like this says so much about who I am as a person today. But when I was 11, literally 11, my like birthday party that I wanted to have was I wanted to have like an 11 course because I was turning 11, an 11 course dinner party.
Oh my gosh. Did it happen?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
It was literally like it was not a huge party. It was literally like me and like a couple of other people, and I literally told my friends like you have to dress up in like fancy
Oh,
clothes
that's
and like
amazing. I love
um
that.
and my dad made 11 courses, but also we were like 11-year-old girls, so like
Oh my
we can't
gosh.
eat like 11 full courses of like food. So he made like mini little things, and he like 2 of the courses I think were like literally just like ice cream or something. Like I don't know, but it was amazing. So he like made like this 11 course dinner for me, and my mom like set our like table to be like fancy like restaurant. um and like my mom and my dad like pretended to be like the waiters and like served us. It was very iconic.
Yeah, that's
um
amazing.
yeah, I had a Harry Potter themed birthday party, which had a lot of theming going into like my mom made so much stuff for that, out of like paper and stuff, and just like made the decorations, and it was very cool. um yeah, those are some of the like themes that come to my mind, but like literally every year I had like a themed birthday party, which was very fun. And also my birthday is like right when school would end, so it was
Yeah.
always really good timing to like have a party with like friends and stuff.
Mhm.
So yeah. And then in high school I mean I was like I was pretty much a goody two shoes for like most of high school. I like didn't like go to parties that like had like alcohol at them or anything. My family likes to party in many senses of the word. I would say like my family likes to host parties. We always had like a Christmas party. We always I don't know like that kind of thing. So I don't know like the party spirit was always like kind of present. I don't know. We would always like do kind of party type things. But my senior year of high school, I was a little bit more rebellious, some may say. Um, and so I did go to a couple of like kind of house party type things in high school. I remember for like New Year's Eve, my senior year of high school, I went to this party and there was like, definitely drinking and like not enough adults like keeping an eye on us and like that kind of thing. I don't know. It was like fine. Like I don't know. It was like I wasn't like, "Oh my gosh, yes, like this is my favorite thing." But I also wasn't like, "Oh, I hate this." Like it was just fine. Um and then in college, I mean, you also went to Pacific, like it's small. Like there wasn't like that much going on in college.
Yeah.
Like there was definitely some,
Mhm.
but it just like wasn't, because like I know my sister now goes to OSU, and that's like she goes to a party like every weekend.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's just crazy, and like there's like frats and sororities, and like they all have parties and like all that kind of stuff. So like we didn't do, like Pacific just didn't have that kind of thing. Um, but I don't know. I like definitely got into some like party-esque situations, I would say, um, in college, but not a ton. Honestly, I didn't really start like going to big house parties and hosting big house parties until I met Abe, because he
Mm.
does that.
Yeah.
And now, and all of his friends do that. And because he went to a huge school with like house parties, and so he went to parties a lot in college and that kind of thing. But yeah, so I didn't really start to like do big parties until pretty recently, like the last 3 years. And yeah, I think it's fun. I love to host. And I mean, also, yeah, I didn't have anywhere to like host when I was in college because I lived in the dorms
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah,
So
that
it's
makes
like,
it
where am I
harder.
going to host a party?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, the kids who
but
lived in
now,
houses. Yeah.
right? Yeah. But yeah, now that I like live in my own space and you know, that kind of thing, yeah, we definitely host. We host the most out of all of our friends because we just like to do it the most. And I honestly kind of like to be in control of the party,
Yeah.
which is like
I
kind
get
of
that.
toxic, but
No,
also
I get it. Yeah.
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 Um yeah, so it's just fun, and I like to be able to like also cook the food and stuff because then I know I can eat it, and yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I have like not too different of a timeline than you. Like growing up, we definitely had birthday parties. Um and honestly, I feel bad because I really like they kind of blend together. I don't remember a lot of my birthday parties
Mm.
individually, but like I have flashes of like when we were really young. I don't remember a lot of kids being invited to our birthday parties, but I'm sure that there were, but like just a few every time. I
Mhm.
remember having a SpongeBob birthday when we were young. I
Oh
remember
hell
my
yeah.
I remember my grandma. We maybe were in Vernonia or something for this where they lived, but I remember my grandma making us a Pikachu cake once. She like drew Pikachu on the cake.
Oh good.
We had a cake once that had little tractors on it for some reason. We
That's
probably
very
picked
cute.
it out because like who knows why kids, who knows why we wanted that.
Yeah.
Um, when I was in junior high, I had a very tight knit group of friends, and we called each other the Peeps. And so we had a
Okay.
Peeps themed birthday party once. We all had matching T-shirts and everything. So this is like a specific memory that I have. But
Yeah.
it was usually like a small get together if we did have like a birthday party.
Mhm.
I remember in high school when we were older, our mom like took us and a few friends out. We would go like to a restaurant. Um, so like usually nothing
Yeah.
really big, just a small little like we'll celebrate your birthday by doing this fun thing. And some years I feel like some years we didn't even have really like a party, but we would do something, like something for your
Yeah.
birthday. Um but yeah, but not a lot. Like my uh parental figures didn't have parties, other than like
Mhm.
hosting Thanksgiving and Christmas and stuff like that. Like we never did parties. Um
Mm.
and or anything like that, and I like probably got invited to other people's birthday parties sometimes. Yeah, I got invited to like other people's birthday parties sometimes and stuff like that, but
Yeah.
like I mentioned earlier, I was unaware of any of the like non parent guided parties happening like in high school as I got older or
Mhm.
anything like that, so I never had anything to do with that. I think the closest thing to that I ever did was in later high school. I had a friend group that would do bonfires, but it was just like our
Mhm.
friend group, so I like maybe like 8 people or whatever were in that friend group. Um and maybe once or twice there was some drinking, but nothing
Mm.
that was really scandalous or anything. But yeah, that counted as a party, and that was super fun. I love bonfires. um
Yeah.
but yeah, so that was kind of my first experience with like a party that didn't have parents there, I guess. Like that
Mm.
kind of party. Um, and then in college, um, I did go to a few house parties, and I remember my very first one, which I think just like maybe says a lot about who I am, is I was just trying to give everybody water. I was trying to make everybody drink water the whole time. And
Yeah.
which um everybody who I tried to give water thanked me like I was an angel.
Hmm.
Like they were like,
Yeah.
"Oh my gosh, thank you so much for making sure we're all hydrated." So it like went over well. Um but I
Yeah.
definitely think that my um uh like I don't, drink or smoke or do any of that stuff, and I definitely think that that influences my party behavior and like my party
Yeah.
tendencies, because a lot of parties have that kind of stuff. Uh
Yeah.
like yeah, and especially as you get older, like most parties have alcohol. Um in some capacity, whether or not it's people really drinking or people casually drinking, like a lot of parties just have that.
Hmm.
And so that definitely influenced that, and also just how my anxious disposition and like lack of, confidence and kind of awkwardness that I feel like I have socially definitely influenced that as well. But I did indeed go to a few parties, and
Yeah.
and I thought that they usually, because I knew one person in a house that hosted parties, and so I went to those. Um,
Yeah.
and I usually wouldn't stay forever, and I would just kind of like see the people that I knew, and then leave.
Hmm.
There were a couple times where it got to be a little bit too much for me. There was like one time where the one person that I knew, Brennan, in the house, like all the bedrooms were off limits, but they like let me sit in their bedroom for a little bit while I waited for my friends to be done partying. And I
Yeah.
like played they had like a little guitar, and I just like sat in there and like did that for a little bit. So that's my relationship with like college parties, I guess. But we never
Hmm.
hosted any in college. And I don't think I'm
Hmm.
wrong. Like, yeah, we never hosted any. But I've always been the friend. On the other hand, I was always the friend growing up that would get the friends together. So, like,
Hmm.
I was always, you know, trying to arrange stuff to happen with friends. Um,
Yeah.
and, sleepovers, like, I did sleepovers and stuff. And even like in and after college, like the couple times that like the England friends have gotten together, was probably because of me,
Hmm.
coming into the chat and saying something. And so I've always had that, like where I've uh craved friendship connections, like party, even though
Hmm.
I'm by definition an introvert, being around people just exhausts me. It's still like a very natural thing. Like I still want that, I still want to like connect with my friends and
Yeah.
like have a good time, you know.
Same with me. I definitely like I can't do that every day because I will
Mhm.
get exhausted.
Yeah.
But I do really like to like have a party and like have people around and like get to talk to everybody and like do that kind of thing even though yeah, it does exhaust me. Like I am tired afterwards and like
Mhm.
I need a like time to recover afterwards, but I'm always like glad that I did it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was taking a note for like a question I wanted to ask in the end. But I wanted to ask you, like, how do you decide what to do at a party? You were just talking about like what you were doing at your Halloween party and all these little games that you do at your theme parties. How do you figure that out?
I think it just like kind of comes with like practice. I don't know. Like
Oh.
when you go to parties, you like know what's fun and you know what
Oh,
like isn't
sure.
fun.
Yeah.
And usually like one thing this is like more Abe than me, but I also thought it was annoying and I agree with him. But like we went to this party and they were literally like showing a movie on the TV in the middle of like a house party.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Uh-huh.
And Abe was like, I don't know, I can't like talk to anybody else if like the movie is playing, like with
Mm-hmm.
like audio. Like it wasn't like
Yeah.
just on in the background. It
It's
was
like
like,
a music is better background than a movie. Like it just have music playing and not
yeah,
like
yeah, because he was
yeah.
like, oh, I haven't like seen this movie, so I like keep getting distracted by like
Mm-hmm.
wanting to like watch it, but then I'm like just watching a movie while there's like a party going on. And he was
Uh-huh.
like, we will never put a movie on at our party,
I
and I
get
was like,
that.
you're so
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. I get
So
that.
like that, yeah, like that kind of thing where we just kind of like know what's fun at a party. And it's like if you have a large number of people and you try to get like 20 people to like do a game or something that has like a lot of rules or like whatever, it's like people are going to get bored and they don't want to do it. And it's like, I don't know. It's like not fun if you're like, in this huge group and it's like we have to play this huge game or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, because
Um
like with my social anxiety, like I I don't do the drinking games. I don't, so like I'm like,
yeah.
what if I don't want to do the game?
Yeah,
Like it was very like that. That's
exactly.
what was really nerve-wracking for me about the party that we hosted is like that was the whole thing is I had to be a part of an activity. But yeah, but like the
Yeah.
only I think one of my hesitancies with like knowing what to do and like not really understanding a lot of it is because most of the few adult parties I've been to have been basically revolving around drinking. Like the parties that I
Mm,
went to in college, that's what people were doing. Is they were drinking and smoking and there were enough people at them that most people were kind of just standing around talking, which I think is fine, but a lot of people were
mhm.
also like playing drinking games. And I
Yeah.
liked that there was enough happening that I didn't have to do that, but also it's like like, well, can I have parties where there like isn't alcohol and what do we do? Like that's
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I think too, like, so one of our friends here, that comes to like most of our parties and stuff, doesn't drink at all.
Hmm.
Um, and so we always are like kind of cognizant. I mean, I don't know. We drink a lot at our parties and like there's pretty much always alcohol and stuff, but we try not to like make the like activity that, you know what I mean? Like that's why we have themed parties is so that like there's like another layer that's like fun if you're drinking or not.
Mhm.
Um and like I mean the one that we threw when you guys came, obviously because we knew who we were inviting. We
Yeah.
were like, okay, obviously this is not and so like that was like a themed party that didn't have
Yeah.
alcohol.
And it was very
So it was
fun. Yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah.
and we have stuff like that pretty
Hmm.
frequently, where yeah, usually there will be alcohol, like at least somewhere in the house. Just because most of our friends drink, but yeah, we try pretty hard, I think, to like make sure that the party is fun, like either way, you
Yeah.
know,
It's not
because
a
it's like
college party. Cuz you're not
yeah, and
college
I mean
students anymore.
exactly,
Yeah.
and it's like yeah, I mean it is like it is fun to like do activities, to like do things, to have like fun little games, to have like, things so that if you not only just if you don't want to like drink or whatever, but like also if you don't want to just like talk to a bunch of people that you like may or may not know, like there has to be something else,
Mhm.
you know. So yeah, we try to do that and um yeah, it's been good. I think having themes really helps us too because Abe and I always like we have a huge list of like themes that we would like to do and we are always
Oh,
adding
so
to
cute.
it.
Yeah.
And then when we are like, okay, we want to have a party, we go through and we're like, okay, what theme, which people, what like activities are we gonna do, what food are we gonna do, like that kind of thing to try to like build it out. And we plan all of that like pretty far in advance, I would say, so that like it's nothing's really like thrown together. Like it's all very like
Mhm.
thought out, I guess.
Yeah.
Like there'll be something to do and like these are
Mhm.
the games that we will play and like that kind of thing.
Do you always have something to do or a game? Like, do you think that that's kind of required and or it'll get too awkward? Or is there ever a time where you're just like, here's a theme and show up and we just like hang out? Or, you know, I,
Yeah.
because if I think about it, I feel like there kind of has to be something to do, but maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, so like the party that we just had the other night, like I mean, there was that little like pumpkin game, but that
Yeah.
like I mean, that wasn't like a really that much of a game. Like it
Yeah.
took like 2 seconds, or it was like kind of happening all night, but you know what I mean. It wasn't like something that you were like participating in the whole night.
Mm-hmm.
So for the rest of it, it was basically just like hang out and like the theme is Halloween and be in costumes and like listen to scary music and eat like we made like Halloween brownies and like all this stuff. So it was like I don't know that it was kind of just like show up and here's the theme and whatever and like people kind of like made their own types of thing. I mean, there were people playing games.
Mm.
There were people just like talking because we had games, but we didn't
Mm-hmm.
like set them out and be like these are the games that we are playing.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. Some people just wanted to like talk with each other and some people wanted to like do things and some people wanted to go like talk to the people downstairs and meet
Mm.
new people and like I don't know, it was just kind of like whatever you wanted to do. Some people wanted to like really do a lot like with their costume and like talk to everybody about their costume and like take pictures in their costumes and like that kind of stuff and I don't know, it was just kind of a mix.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome.
So
Yeah.
I think sometimes that works.
Yeah. And then do you have anything else that you wanted to say before I ask the last question that I have about parties?
I don't think so. I love
Okay.
a good party. That's all
Yeah.
I have to say.
I'm learning that I do too, and that like my introverted persona doesn't have to be it. It's like
Yeah,
I can prefer like staying in and like being mostly alone, but I can also enjoy a party every now and then. You know what I mean? Yeah.
hell yeah.
Yeah. So, what I wanted to ask you as the last question is, do you have your next party planned, and what is it?
I do have my next party planned. It's another themed party. And the other thing about our themed parties is that they are a surprise.
Yes.
Um, to the people invited.
uh.
So we always tell them how to dress and tell them, like give them kind of a clue basically, but it's
Mhm.
usually a prize. So yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna give away what my next theme
Uh-huh.
is, but I do have it planned. It's gonna be in November,
Okay.
and it's one of our like themed things that we've had on our list since we
Okay.
started doing them.
Yeah. Do you usually
Um,
do it kind of like monthly or more often or less often?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We try to do it like once a month,
Mm.
just because I have a lot of themes that I'd like to
Yeah.
get through.
Is it seasonal related? Or does it just happen to be
Sometimes.
in November? I mean, like your next
No,
one.
oh, this one, no,
Oh,
it's
okay.
not. You could do it anytime,
Okay.
but
Okay. Yeah.
yeah.
We do not have our next party planned, but after this last one, we're kind of like, oh, what can we do next? And we had one of the couples that was there was like, oh, we're probably gonna have a New Year's party, and we'll let you guys
Yeah,
know. And so we're like, oh, when you have parties and you go talk to people, then maybe you'll get invited to parties. So now we're like, oh,
exactly.
maybe that'll happen now. And then we were today we were kind of beginning to float the concept of a Secret Santa Christmas party.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah, so we're like already kind of starting to be like, okay, like what can we do, next if we want to do something next. And so that's like kind of we don't have anything planned, but that's kind of like what's out there right now. Yeah.
Growing up, we always did a Christmas party. Me and my sister would have a Christmas party every year, like hosted by my mom, but
Uh-huh.
Um and for like all of our friends, and it was a book exchange. So it would be like
Oh,
Secret
cute.
Santa, but everyone brought a book.
Oh my gosh, I love
And
that. Okay.
yeah, and
I
then
love
you would
that.
like trade and like do Secret Santa
Yeah.
like white elephant like gift exchange type
Yeah.
thing.
I love a
Um
themed Secret
plus
Santa. I'll
book.
have to keep that in mind. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a
So highly
specific.
recommend.
Yeah.
I have not done that since I was a kid, or like I mean we did it in high school too,
Mm.
but I haven't done that since like I hosted it at my mom's house.
Yeah.
So I want to bring that back. So I guess that's one that I can say that's not like a secret, but I would like to do that this year. I'd like to host
Yeah.
like a book.
That's so cute. And
Yeah.
yeah, when we were like one last thing I'll say too that made me think of is when we
Mhm.
were growing up, they've stopped doing it now just cuz things have changed, people have left, whatever, but where my mom and Rich work, they used to host a white elephant every year, and that's actually like very fond, which I guess counts as a party, work party.
Yeah.
And that was actually like we really enjoyed that growing up, and I thought that was super fun.
Yeah.
But Justin said he prefers Secret Santa over White Elephant, so if we do one, it'll probably be a Secret Santa. Because even though
That
I
makes
liked
sense.
it, I'm not gonna whatever. I don't care that much. Secret Santa's also fun, so yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah,
definitely.
we used to do that. So yeah, super fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I loved going to the secret party that you hosted for us, and I would love to go to another one. So,
Yes. Well, next
yeah.
time you come and visit me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love hosting parties. It's like one of my favorite things to do. And like specifically a themed party.
hmm
So yeah, I'm glad we got to talk about parties today.
Yeah. Oh, we're like, I think that we should be done, but I just also thought about like the amount of money that we spent on this party.
Hmm.
I'm like, do you
Hmm.
usually,
It's a lot.
is that a thing that's like you have to think about every time? Like, is it usually
Yeah.
you have to spend, yeah.
We
That's another
strategically
thing that's
plan.
like, oh, maybe we have to have a
Yeah.
budget for this.
Yeah, we set a budget every
Yeah.
time for what we're willing to spend. We plan it out in advance. We think about like what we can make that's not going to be like the most expensive food we could think of. We usually ask people to bring stuff,
Mm-hmm.
especially if it's a big party, especially if there's going to be like a lot of drinking because alcohol is really expensive.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be like, if y'all are going to drink, you're bringing your own, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, we're
so we do that kind of
definitely
thing.
not doing a dinner party every time. Even though
Yeah,
Justin
no,
loves to cook, we have to like have that in mind cuz yeah, it's
yeah,
like, oh,
it's
it costs some
expensive.
money to host a party.
Yes,
Yeah.
it definitely does. Yeah, we always set a budget. We always, um, yeah, we try to. That's also why we keep it smaller most of the time, is because
Mm.
then we can like actually. Because I don't want to like always have 20 people and then I have to do like the bare minimum like
Yeah.
food, you
Mhm.
know. Yeah, but yeah, when we did that like huge feast for you guys, that was like very expensive. That's why I was
Yeah.
like, this is also your Christmas present
Yeah.
or like
Yeah, now
your
I
birthday present or
appreciate
whatever
it
it was.
even more now that I've like
Yeah.
done something similar, and it's we go to the grocery store and it's like, this is
Yep.
all this food is not just for us. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway, any last thoughts?
Party on.
Yeah. Oh
Love
yeah.
ya. I'll talk to you next
Love you
time.
too.
Bye.
Bye.